So yeah, I will give you a brief background of my journey at KTH and where we are and what we actually founded. So my name is, as Donnie said, Tanmoy Bari. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of a company called Greenely that was funded here by here at KTH. So I studied civil engineering at KTH, and I studied 5 years. And back in I think it was 2013. I started to look at how to plan for more sustainable cities across the world. So I did my bachelor's in Kenya, in the western parts of Kenya called Kisumu. From there, I was more intrigued and interested in learning more about how to plan for a more sustainable environment for the future. So I came back here at KTH to my original studies, started my master's thesis, or master degree, and I got an offer to do a research project in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. So I moved to Brazil, spent 8 months there. It was basically social sustainability, how to plan for a more social sustainability in a part of Rio de Janeiro. And one of my colleagues then is Mohammed Alabasi, and we had this idea on how to use IT to promote sustainable urban lifestyles. And so we sent out a business plan to a competition called Venture Cup. We got to the finals of that competition. We met with KTH Innovation that thought that we could work with them to see if we can get something going, which we did. We worked very hard with them, and Don has been one of my mentors as well as one of my first business coaches. And our idea was basically to extract more information from the grid today and how to help people reduce energy in their homes. So we wanted to simplify the energy experience. That was our take, basically. And when we started going into the energy sector, a lot of people was talking about a new type of energy era, energy transformation. We really necessarily didn't understand what that was translating into in the practicality, but we understand more about it today. So traditionally, you buy electricity from your utility. It is a large-scale distribution. But all of a sudden, nowadays, people are starting to put solar on their roofs, start generating their own energy, and drive electrical vehicle. So this puts a lot of constraints on the grid, and it basically shapes a new type of ecosystem for energy and environment. So we wanted to basically take our solution, which was simplifying the energy experience for normal households, into becoming the digital platform for something called the prosumer. So all of a sudden, if you have solar on your roofs, you produce your own energy. You want to track how much you're producing. You want to see how much you're selling back to the grid. You want to know how much you're importing from the utility. And we wanted to take all this whole spectrum and see if we can find complete solutions for the households. So we started to build this company, KTH Innovation. We later got on to something called Kick Energy, which is a sustainable energy accelerator in Europe, which has an office here in Stockholm. And we took it from there. So we are today a 12-person company working with this full-time here in Stockholm. And I'll tell you a little bit about our background and how where we came from. So the problem that we saw when we started this master thesis was basically that people receive a complex invoice once a month. And the time in between, you don't get any type of feedback on what you can do to cut back on energy usage. The relationship with the consumers and the utilities are quite challenging today. So people normally care most about the price, so they switch to different types of suppliers. So the utilities have a hard time having a good relationship with their customers. And as we shift towards a more prosumer era today, people are requesting more type of digital services from the utilities, and they have a hard time meeting the demand. So there's a huge lack of information from a consumer perspective in the energy sector today, which we saw was a big problem. And we question the existing grid. So across the world, there's something called a smart meter, and there's 900 million smart meters installed across the world. And this smart meter is basically from the commission side to not only give more stable grid and to give more information for the utilities to build their customers, but also for the consumers to understand more about their energy consumption. Unfortunately, the utilities necessarily didn't use the information to promote it to the end consumer and the users. So we wanted to see if we could find a way to extract all that data that actually exists in the grid and to make something more interesting out of it. So for I think roughly 2.5 years, we built a system first in Sweden to extract all the data, no matter where you live across Sweden, to access all this data. And we try to combine that with a lot of other types of data. For instance, solar installation, weather prognosis, price information, how many people is living in the household, to see if we can find something as a more appealing solution for the users. So our basic product is a mobile application where we try to see ourselves as the energy interface for every single home across Sweden today. So there's been a lot of research in how to engage people in their energy consumption. There's a famous researcher called Robert Cialdini, a psychologist, that studied this area very particular, how to engage people. And in California, in the state of California, they've tried it with different types of measures to engage the users. And oftentimes they try to communicate with how much money you can save, and it's not been fairly successful. And other times they try to communicate how much you can help the environment by reducing your energy consumption. And people have not been that interested in that as well. But all of a sudden they start communicating how much your neighbors are consuming. And people got very interested in this field. And that generated something called the HER, Home Energy Report in California, that 2 million households gets, just with the comparison with other households, since they are promoting a lot of energy efficiency. So we work with this kind of behavioral mechanisms to engage people in the energy consumption, but we also take all that data and visualize it so they can track the usage over time, but we also pinpoint what they can do to cut back on energy, if there's something abnormal in the consumption patterns, when they use the most. And the third picture here is basically we try to collect different types of sources, as we said. One is solar installation, together with all the data we have, to see how suitable the single household is, for example, installing solar panels on the roof. What's the return of investment? And we not only try to stop there, we also take them to different types of suppliers for these kind of solutions. And the next step is that they can visualize how much they're producing, how much they're selling back to the grid, how much they're importing from the customers, and we try to, or the utilities. We try to simplify this whole experience, basically. And we do this not only with solar, but also several other types of energy efficiency measures in the home, for instance, heating pumps. Yeah. So with all that data, and big data is such a hot topic today, and what you can do with the data is very valuable, especially for our users and our households that use our application. We can easily pinpoint if they're heading towards a high bill for the month, or if we see something abnormal in their consumption patterns, so we can send out a warning that something is wrong with your heating pump. So we give them a sort of safety and security measure. And with all that data, we can segment different types of households into different groups, and we can understand what kind of households are sensitive to weather variations. So we can pretty fast send out a push notification to say, like, tomorrow will be a cold day. Be careful with your energy consumption. So we have a communication system to build loyalty and build strong information to our users. Yeah, so we had pretty early on with Gothenburg University. We try to measure how much you can save with this kind of platform. And we saw somewhere between 6% for the average user that they can save. And for a household that consumes 20,000 kilowatt hours to 30,000 kilowatt hours, that becomes a lot of money and a lot of saving. But as I mentioned in the previous slide as well, we try to create this kind of investment plan for each and every one of our customers, depending on their actual needs and conditions. So we can see that we can, from the investment that they can make, is average of 6 to 8% return of investment each and every year. Not only that, they can actually increase the value of their property. And the third part that we've seen our users very like or requested was a safety and security type of tool. So a lot of Swedish homes are cottages or summer vacation homes. So when you're not there, you want to have full control of your second home, and we can offer that with our solution, and also the security system that we can send out different kind of push notifications. Our business model is basically a two-way model. So we work with several utilities across Sweden. And for utilities, they have seen that they can use our platform to communicate to their customer to a greater extent. And also we can handle a lot of different things in our platform that decreases their operational costs. For instance, billing, renegotiation of contracts, and those kind of things. So we work with several utilities, and one of our largest one is named Bixia, who has over 300,000 customers. And now also we're going directly to consumer from those consumers that doesn't have their utility connected to our platform, and have an offer to them as well. And we have today 6,500 actually households connected in the Swedish market. Yeah, and we have, for a long period of time, we were actually with KTH Innovation in a program called Startup Inspire to Silicon Valley, where we were trained to pitch in front of 4 different venture capital firms. And this was 2.5 years ago, and we were successful in that competition. And pretty soon afterwards, we were approached by Stanford University, more specifically Department of Psychology. And in the state of California, they have a lot of regulations in terms of energy efficiency and how to promote these kind of different types of solutions. So they have done a ton of studies in this field. So they were seeing, like, we were also trying to do some of the things that they had already seen. So they had a proposal that basically said that we want to try different types of measures in our platform to see if we can increase the energy efficiency that has previously been showcased in the state of California. So after a long period of time, 1.5 years of development, we can gather the data from Northern California in the same way that we do in Sweden without any type of hardware. And we actually launched the pilot project 3 weeks ago officially. And we had over 120 different types of media outlets picking up that news, so we're very proud of that. So we want to showcase basically that we can achieve a more energy efficiency in terms of behavioral science than the solutions previously. We were also very proud to be selected at Forbes 30 under 30 last year, and we have won 10 plus innovation awards globally. Today is actually, it's 12 full-time employees from this month that's working with the solution to continuously make it better. We're doubling our revenue from last year, and we have raised over 15 million kroners to date. And we're excited with some of the new partnerships. One in Sweden is called Vi Villa, that reaches 2.2 million different types of villa households with print magazine. So we'll distribute the solutions from the fall and forward to a lot of households. So we're very excited about that. And as I mentioned previously, our U.S. establishment, we will ramp up our operations in U.S. Upcoming. So we're very happy with that as well. So yeah, that was a brief background of myself and what I do and what our company stands for and what we try to achieve. So thank you guys very, very much.